Well, good morning, everyone. I'm the nature guy from Camp Seagull, but I'm not at Camp Seagull. Today I'm coming to you from Washington State in the Puget Sound, and you might even be able to hear the waves in the background. Now, I'm right near Rosario Beach Marine Laboratory that's run by Walla Walla University, and this is just a great place to come and see some of the amazing things in nature, a little bit different than what you see in Michigan. Now, I'm here this morning along the seashore to tell you that there's no such thing as a seagull. A seagull is an inappropriate name. They're all called just plain old gulls. Well, not really. Each species of gull has its own name. And in Michigan we have things like ring-billed gull and herring gull. They're much larger. And then we have some other species that come migrating through in spring and fall. But they all have their own names, and you shouldn't say seagull. Now that I got that off my chest, I want to talk to you about the gulls here in the West Coast, at least two species of them. One of them is called the California gull, and it illustrates the difficulty of identifying many of the gull species. A lot of them have light heads and gray backs and maybe black wingtips. They have different colored bills and different colored feet, but you got to get pretty close to see that sometimes. And what's really difficult is that there are a lot of different plumages. That's the color of the feathers on the outside, and that depends on the season. Now, some of the time, the birds are in breeding plumage, and so that's a standard color for each species. In this case, the California gull has a light head and a medium gray wings, back and wings, and dark wingtips. But before they get to the adult plumage, they go through different stages. And in fact, we have what we call 3-year gulls, and we have 5-year gulls. And that means a 3-year gull, it takes 3 years to reach the adult plumage. And you've got all these different plumages for the different ages. And what's worse, spring and fall is different. And so this picture here is showing California gulls. You can see the one that's kind of brownish speckled. That's a first year. The one with the lightest head, even though it's got some speckling for winter, in the summer that would be bright white. That's the adult, and then the other one is the second year, which is kind of somewhere in between. And so it can be really difficult, especially when the plumages of many species are quite similar. So the seasonal differences are more different than the species difference in many types of gulls. So it can get really confusing, and some people kind of just give up and they call them seagulls. That's just not right. Anyway, my favorite gull is the Heermann's gull, named after an ornithologist way back that started studying birds in North America. The Heermann's gull is interesting in that it really does stand out. The adult plumage that we see here is it's gray with really dark gray back and wings and black wingtips, black feet, but this very obvious bright orangish red bill. And that really shows up, and it's part of their breeding display with their big open mouths that shows off the color. Now, the immatures, the first year birds in the wintertime, are completely black. And they really stand out. Both of these gulls stand out from the crowd of mostly white or light brown colored gulls. The Heermann's gull really stands out. But there's an interesting fact about Heermann's gulls. They migrate like most gulls do, but they breed in Mexico and Southern California, and then they do what is called a reverse migration. In the winter, they fly north. And they fly north to here, Washington State, on the shoreline of the Pacific Ocean, and even further north into Canada along the coastline. And for some reason, that's where they like to be in the wintertime. There's some pretty fierce storms. It stirs up a lot of stuff from the ocean bottom, so maybe that's the reason they like to come. I'm not sure. But they do things different. They migrate in reverse direction, and they're quite different coloration, so it's easy to pick them out. And so that's the question I want to ask. Do you stand out in the crowd like these Hermann gulls do? Now, I don't mean because you look weird or you have different colored hair or you drive a really cool car. I mean, do you stand out by your characteristics, your character? Okay, do you stand out because you're kind and loving and empathetic, which means you care about how people feel? So those are the kinds of questions I'm asking. Do we stand out from the crowd in the way we behave? I certainly hope so, for the good. Anyway, that's our lesson today from the Puget Sound of Washington State. We'll see you next time. Bye.